Hi, my name's Joe Haber, and I teach civics. The reason why I teach civics is because we live in a democracy, and for democracy to work, everyone needs to know that they have a right to contribute to it, which means we don't have blind faith in our leaders and in our government. We're a part of that. So if they fail us, and if they don't do what we require, which is to protect our rights, then we have to hold them accountable or choose someone else. And if we don't understand how that works, then democracy doesn't work. Okay? In the video you're going to see, I'm going to tell you about some court cases, some Supreme Court cases that lead up to a series of, they have some injustices that occurred that were perpetuated by our own government in the past, leading to a Supreme Court case that changed everything. And so I'm excited for you to see this, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it inspires you. Thank you. Hi, my name is Joe Haber, and I teach civics. Normally I'll give you a silly song or dance to teach you a concept about civics, but this topic is not something that I feel silly about. It's very important to understand. And so we're going to look at 3 Supreme Court cases: Dred Scott versus Sanford, Plessy versus Ferguson, and Brown versus the Board of Education. And those cases changed things. But they also were a history of our government failing people and doing the wrong thing by them. So the people that run our government, they're still just people. We live in a democracy and we elect people to offices, but they're not saints and they're not perfect. They're regular people who can make mistakes. And if we don't watch them, if we don't make sure they're doing the right thing, then they can make some serious errors in judgment, just like the Supreme Court did in 2 out of the 3 of these cases. Okay? So I'm going to teach you a dance for the chorus, which is very simple. So I'm going to go through it one time before we start the song. Whenever you see the chorus, you can dance along with that. But I really just want you to pay attention to the story itself. The first one, I want to make it clear that Dred Scott was a slave, and Dr. John, that I referred to in the first verse, is his master, his slave master, before later he sues for his freedom. Okay? All right, so let's start. Oh wait, chorus verse. In a world full of takers, who would take my rights? So you're just doing this taking motion. Who will stand with me? So you're standing tall, kind of in an exaggerated way. You're throwing the takers down, or throwing the taking down, and you're standing tall. If I trust their decision, I'm giving up control. I'm giving it all to them. I'm just blindly trusting whoever's in charge in the government. If I trust their decision, then I may never reach. You're reaching for your dreams. Who I'm meant to be. Okay? So that's the whole chorus. In a world full of takers, who would take my rights? Who would stand with me? If I trust their decisions, then I may never reach what I'm meant to be. Okay, let's start the song. Dr. John was a traveler, and he went to Wisconsin, where the slaves were living free, like Dred Scott wants to be. Dred returned to the South again, but he sued for his freedom. It went to the highest court, the one of last resort, and they said, Dred, you're not a citizen, and you can't sue for nothing. Go on home and be a slave. You'll be one till your grave. In a world full of takers, who would take my rights? Who would stand with me? If I trust their decisions, then I may never reach what I'm meant to be. They say time, it changes everything. Slavery has ended. The year is 1892. A train car is in view. Only whites are allowed in there. And Homer Plessy wasn't. He sat down there anyway and went to jail that day. There's a judge. His name is Ferguson. And he found Plessy guilty. And the highest court agreed, 'cause separate was still free. In a world full of takers, who would take my rights? Who will stand with me? If I trust their decisions, then I may never reach what I'm meant to be. Then the father of Linda Brown said, "You can't keep my little girl down." He hired Thurgood Marshall to represent the case. Separating children should never have a place. So the equal protection clause, the segregation should end, because how can she be equal when she's unwelcome there? Children understand it, they know that it's unfair. In a world full of takers, who will take my rights? Who will stand with me? If I trust their decisions, then I may never reach who I'm meant to be. Who I'm meant to be. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story, and I hope you remember that it's true. All those cases happened. It's a little simplified in the song, I guess. I didn't put all details in there. There's more to it, of course, but that's the basic gist of it, and I think you got a good understanding if you really pay attention, even replay the song. And I do think that the chorus is important to me, because that's kind of my philosophy of civics. I think there's people who you can't always trust in government, and if you don't watch them and make sure that they're serving your interests and protecting your rights, and everybody's rights, not just some people's rights, not just the rich or the privileged, but everyone's rights. If they're not doing that, then as a citizen, you have the right to stand up and share your voice or vote and be a part of this, okay? Now, I hope you really enjoyed this video, as well as the other videos on Virtual History 360. We talked about 3 court cases. We started with Dred Scott versus Sanford, where Dred Scott sued and the Supreme Court told him slaves can't be citizens, so you can't sue for your freedom. Plessy versus Ferguson, we had someone, African American, sat down in a white train car, told you can't sit on the white train car, and it really started segregation and began the Jim Crow laws. And then we had Brown versus the Board of Education, where finally the Supreme Court said separate but equal doesn't work. By separating kids and saying you can't go to this school, they don't feel equal, so they're not equal. Okay, and that's the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Please check out the videos that you can see on the side, and click on one if you like it. I think that Virtual History 360 is a good thing. We teach civics, U.S. history, and world history, and you can learn a lot. And I think some people think that these subjects can be boring, but the truth is these subjects are invaluable. And I really encourage everyone to really take a pause before they just dismiss it. I think it's super important. And I'm very proud of this song, and I hope that you enjoy it. Thank you very much.